DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. We're looking at the Tuesday 6-game main slate. It is in-season tournament day here in the NBA, so we'll have some exciting pool play here for the in-season tournament, some top matchups between teams, and we should be expecting some big minutes out of a lot of these teams here as well. You're also looking at the screen at the point guard position. There's a lot of guys that are out or questionable on this slate. Oh, look at that. Jokic, Doncic, Wemby, AD, all with the Q tags. Now, some of these guys are probable. Wemby's doubtful.
Yes.
For this game here. We'll see what happens to Joker. He's dealing with I believe they said it was his wife was pregnant, was the report. Haven't seen any additional updates to that, but he's missed the last 2 games. Obviously, we would love to get some Joker here against Memphis if he ends up suiting up. You got Luka here as questionable with the knee. Fully expect him to play. Anthony Davis dealing with the foot. He's considered probable there. So, but it is the NBA. As we saw as we record here on Monday night, anything is possible. Jalen Johnson gets ruled out 15 minutes before game starts. Not on the injury report at all day. Boom, out 15 minutes before lock. So we can and will expect anything to happen here on this slate. Grande, my friend, how we doing, man?
We're doing. It's definitely an interesting slate. You hate to see like this many stars questionable, but it is what it is when it's legit injuries or absences. Apparently, Jokic didn't want the news leaked. He told reporters to respect his privacy, and then a Denver reporter leaked it immediately. And then everyone else has since been like, what were you doing?
And the Denver reporter has not been seen since.
Yeah, and the reporter has not been seen since. So yeah, I mean, you hate to see the in-season tournament look like this with so many stars. I mean, just scrolling down the list, how many guys are already? I mean, the red is crazy. Everyone over 6K. It's just crazy. But the in-season tournament's been fun so far. 6 games. What do we got? Do we have anyone on a back-to-back here? Nobody on a back-to-back. That's great. And John, and the late night hammer is back, which always is fun because you and I are big proponents of the late night hammer, and there's no better feeling in DFS than having late exposure and just rising to the ranks. And it's probably maybe the best game on the board in terms of over under 231. It's half a point better than Cleveland Boston, which is a game in itself. But that should be a really, really fun slate.
I agree. Let's just jump into it. Point guard position: Luka Doncic, SGA up over 10K. LaMelo Ball at $9,800. Donovan Mitchell's 9K as well. More of a shooting guard, where Darius Garland's down there at 77. So, talk to me about the top 3: Luka, SGA, LaMelo in their spots. Obviously, all separated by $600 and $800 all the way down the bottom. How would you go about building some lineups today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Luka stuff is interesting. He finally has been outwardly saying, "Yeah, I'm just not healthy," and he hasn't looked it for a little while. If he plays, there's always a ceiling, but I would rather get to SGA for cheaper. We saw what he does when he has been extended with this, short-handed Oklahoma City Thunder team. 38 minutes, 58 fantasy points. So yeah, I think SGA, I lean a little bit over Luka. And if you need to save, we keep saying it, but LaMelo Ball is just simply too cheap for the player that is producing right now. I mean, he's been over 50 fantasy points in almost every game since November, right? 45 and a bummer against Minnesota, 25. Every other game, he's smashing. And there's boatloads of shot attempts attached to it. He hasn't taken less than 20 shots since that Minnesota game where they lost by 21. He's taking double-digit three-point attempts basically every night. There are some games he's gotten to the free throw line a bunch. Like, he just has really done it all. So if you want to get to LaMelo for even cheaper, you can. This is obviously another situation when you look at LaMelo, last 5 games, 36 plus minutes.
Yeah.
You remember that in-season tournament game that they played against Orlando last week? They lost by 30, and he played 35 minutes.
He got subbed back into that game. So
yeah, I mean, you clearly, Charles Lee, first-time head coach, is like wanting to be competitive in this thing. So
he learned from Joe Mazzulla, right? He was the assistant coach of Joe Mazzulla last year. So
not friends though. I don't know if you heard the
I did.
Joe Mazzulla great quote.
He is.
I mean, he is great.
Did you hear how Joe Mazzulla talked about the City Connect jerseys?
No.
He said, "Do you like the Celtics City Connect jerseys?" He's like, "Yeah, I really do." He's like, "What do you like about them?" They said Celtics on the front.
He has such good deadpan humor, dude. It's so great. So I think for me in this like top tier, it's SGA and LaMelo. And if you get to Luka, we know he has a ceiling, but he's clearly less than 100% right now.
Agreed. Working our way down into the mid range. Obviously, there is no Jokic here. Murray, $8,300. Garland's been fantastic, but this matchup against Boston, it's going to be interesting to see if Cleveland's guys are going to be able to get off offensively against a good defensive team with the way the Celtics play. Brandon Boston, has been really good for them. You got Chris Paul here. What do you think is going to go down with this mid range?
I'm not really worried about like Boston. This should just be a really good basket. I mean, 231 implied points. Cleveland is the most efficient offense in basketball, and they're playing 7th in pace. Boston's obviously playing really slow, so it's not great, but I'm not overly worried about Garland. I would say the only thing with Garland is the minutes haven't been super great this year for Darius Garland. Like, he's only been extended a couple times, but he has obviously been smashing 50, 47, 39 the last 3 games. So I'd be okay getting there. Jamal Murray, he's been fine without Jokic. I'm not like scared to go back to the Jamal Murray well because the minutes are so great. And obviously, look, 43 and 37 minutes the last 2 games. And now we're getting another in-season tournament game for him. Absolutely no issues going to that well. He just needs to make a few more of his shots. So good with Murray, good with Garland. Reeves, I feel like it's hard for Austin Reeves to produce when LeBron and Anthony Davis are as good as they've been, and when Dalton Connect is doing what he's been doing. So, 7,100, little Pippen, with Desmond Bain coming back in the starting lineup. Brandon Boston, I think, is pretty safe. Chris Paul is fine. They got housed by Dallas, so he didn't really get extended. He's been largely good on a fantasy point per minute scale. And Dennis Schroeder, last piece in at 61 is fine.
I agree with you. What do you make of what happened with Keontae George the other day?
He got benched.
Yeah, they benched him for Isaiah Collier. Is that something you'd be worried about? Or do you think that's just sort of a one-time situation there?
I mean, it felt like a one-time situation, but we've also seen Will Hardy, right? We've seen Will Hardy do this a lot. It's hard to predict Will Hardy's what Will Hardy's going to do nightly, but we'll see. I mean, Keontae George then checked in and didn't sub out again, and he still played over 33 minutes. So, bad game.
You got all the Utah guards here, obviously, right? Sexton only played 20 minutes in that game, had the 4 fouls.
Nightmare, absolutely.
You got George, and we'll get to Clarkson, obviously, at the shooting guard position. Where do you go next, I guess, is the question. Like, generally we have looked at Peyton Pritchard. He is questionable. You got Marcus Smart off the bench. Drew Holiday's down here. Jalen Noel's $4,500. What do we think, the value is at point guard?
I think Drew Holiday is a great play. $5,200. if there's no Peyton Pritchard, we've seen Holiday get extended in competitive games. Like he's played 37 minutes against Brooklyn. He played 35 minutes against Charlotte. He played 33 against Milwaukee. He played 36 against Detroit. And he is someone who is super, super, super good everywhere. He's just sometimes, most of the time is deferring, right? But if there's no Pritchard, he's going to be extended even more than he usually is. Boston, obviously this is an important game for standings in general because this would, one, be Cleveland's first loss, and that cuts into their conference lead, but also it is the tournament. So the Emirates Cup. So you also have that. I would love Drew Holiday. I kind of like him regardless if Peyton Pritchard plays or not, just because we don't know. I mean, we saw if the thumb was an issue against the Raptors, why, and that's why Peyton Pritchard shot so poorly. Well, he's probably not going to get extended, and this could be a Drew Holiday game. So
Sure.
5,200 for Drew Holiday is really appealing. I would be okay with Smart if he plays. He didn't play Wednesday or Monday because of the illness. We'll see if he plays Wednesday. The price is good. Maybe he moves back into the starting lineup as well. They kind of did that with Desmond Bane, where Bane played the one game off the bench, and then they inserted him back in the starting lineup. We'll see. What do you think of if there's no Karis LeVert? Do you think Ty Jerome is like the guard off the bench for Cleveland? Like the guard? Probably, right?
Probably. I mean, Merrill's out. Is Merrill in or out? Do we know?
Sam Merrill is questionable with an ankle.
All right.
So Merrill
they were playing a lot of Merrill, so it could be one of the two.
What if they're both out?
Right. Yeah, I mean, then obviously you think Jerome by default there, right?
Yep.
So, but I don't mind. I mean, listen, he's been playing off the bench. He's been playing well anyway, except for the one game that I played him off the bench there. So, nightmare. But we all played him when he was starting in his chalk, so that worked out. Got Kennard playing minutes. Always can go off and hit a couple of threes. Case and Wallace still playing, mid minutes here. $3,800. You have the Collier play. Anything else for you? I guess if Luka wouldn't play, you'd have a guard option here.
Yeah, Jaden Hardy. If Luka doesn't play, it's Jaden Hardy for sure. He had 24 minutes in that game. Was super, super solid at min salary, and he's 3,200 in this game. I bet you we first run of ownership he gets some love.
Okay. Shooting guard. I got Ingram at 93, Donnie Mitch at 9K, Kyrie at $8,900, Jaylen Brown at 81.
Ingram's pretty good, right? I mean, bounced back after a couple bad games for back-to-back 50 bombs, and they've needed it. Beat Denver with a 50 bomb, was close to beating the Lakers with a 50 bomb. So I think Ingram's perfectly fine, shooting guard, small forward. Donovan Mitchell can do no wrong right now after we called him out for doing a lot of wrong. He can do no wrong. 60, 60, and 60 in 3 straight games. So like that. Kyrie, if you think that Kyrie is something, Kyrie, if Luka's hurt, which he is, Kyrie's sneaky because, less than 100% Luka, we've seen defer a lot and just stand on the perimeter and, kind of be a facilitator, would take long threes. So I'd be okay getting to some Kyrie Irving if Luka plays, or obviously if he doesn't, but if he plays, I'd be okay getting to Kyrie.
Yeah, no arguments there. And Jalen Brown's good, $8,100. Basically the number 1B with Jason Tatum there. You've talked up Desmond Bane. You've been playing him. It's obviously a good spot. Minutes are on the rise. Shots will be there. Don't mind that at $7,300, especially with no Morant. Like we know what the usage rate can be for him. So pretty strong option, I think, for you there in the mid tier.
Yeah, and I think the minutes would have been better. They were blowing Denver out in that game, and then Denver made like a run, and I don't think they thought they would have to put Desmond Bane back in, like, because he came back in at the end of the third, looking at add more funds. Came back in the end of the third, played like the last couple up seconds of the offense, and then they took him out until the 6-minute mark, where I think that's where Denver cut into lead, and then they blew him out again. So I think it was all. I think the minutes would have been even better. So I'm very confident in Desmond Bane's minutes, and as long as there's no John Morant, he has an elite ceiling.
Sure. Cam Thomas obviously had a nutty game the other day. 43 actual against the Knicks. Didn't really follow it up against the Knicks, but now he's got Charlotte. We always know in tournaments he can just absolutely go off like that. Miller's on the other side of that. With Bridges back, in the lineup, I don't know. Like Miller didn't really do much when Bridges was out of the lineup. The minutes are great. The shot attempts are all great. He's just not hitting anything. 3 of 12, 3 of 11, 1 of 11, 3 of 11. Like that's pretty tough there. I don't know if I want to necessarily go back at 66. Vassell's 56. You get Clarkson 52. Like, what are your thoughts as we kind of work our way down here? Is there anything that would stick out to you?
I mean, I think Miller's just not making shots, and we had talked about that before he blew up for 50. He just wasn't making shots, but he is. I have no issues with the volume. I mean, dude, he has taken 11 plus threes in 6 straight games.
No.
Two or more steals in 4 straight. Like, he has been way better peripherally than we've seen Brandon Miller be. He just needs to make shots. The big blow up is coming again. So I'm perfectly fine getting to Miller in tournaments. If you want to just limit it to tournaments, I think that's fine. I think Devin Vassell is interesting if we get, the uptick to like 27, 28, especially with no Wemby. I know this is a tough spot against OKC.
He got 25, which is encouraging. Like so far,
right.
That's would have been his ceiling. So at least there's a chance he gets there.
Yeah, and the price has come down. So if we find out that there's a minutes increase, or if he's starting, I think that's kind of a tell that we'll see more. Love Clarkson. I think that he's just being mispriced. Right? There's nothing else to it. Like, he's just being mispriced.
Doesn't it feel like the Schroeder thing from like 4 years ago?
Yeah, where it's like, why is he that? Like, Jordan Clarkson is playing 30 minutes and taking 14 plus shots every night with good peripheral stats.
Look at the threes. If you just start taking a couple of more threes, like
why? It just feels wrong. And this is a really good spot. Lakers are not like terribly fast in pace. They're league average, but they're 25th in defensive rating. So this is 2 bottom 5 teams in defense. Love me some Jordan Clarkson at $5,200.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, if you're gonna get him this cheap, the way he is playing, balls out, right? So I'm with you there. Castle's $4,900. Again, played 28 minutes in that game. He's been fine. If you want to look there, Champagny obviously had a good game without Wemby. Dalton Connect broke the slate the other night.
He did.
I mean, dude, we know the one thing he can do is shoot threes, right? 5 of 5, then 5 of 10, and 2 of the last 3. You're gonna knock down 5 threes in a game. Like, you're gonna have a lot of value. We know Redick likes this kid. Against Utah, I think you just play him at 4,500.
So you would just you think that's the case if Rui plays?
Pack. I don't. I mean,
because Reddish is also back, and they have been starting Cam Reddish.
Yep, I know. But do you think that the way Dalton Connect has been playing lately, and the way that Redick wants to run this team, is a guy that would lose minutes to those other players?
Probably not. Like, I don't know.
I mean, he's been nails.
He has obviously been elite, and they've won every game with him playing that run.
Right. Like, maybe Redick's watching what's happening in Philly and is like, hey, you know what? Like, maybe the rookies can play a little.
Right.
And Cam Reddish has been nothing in this league for a decade.
He's good. He's just a good defender. I mean, that's why, right? They put him in for the defense. And,
sure.
I mean, there's always a case that Rui's always been a guy that loses out time. We thought that was going to be Vanderbilt.
Rui's actually been good.
He has, but he is we've been waiting for Vanderbilt to come back to take time from Rui this whole time. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't play Connect. I'm kind of figuring out on the fly. I'm trying to like process on the fly like what the Lakers are going to do because D'Lo's time has already obviously been cut. Reddish is going to start, probably only play high teens, low 20s minutes. If Rui doesn't play, then I'm very confident that Connect is going to play a bunch of minutes because they also just don't have a backup four.
I want to trust that JJ Redick looks at Dalton Connect and has a soft spot for him.
Because he just is like, yes, shooters. I love shooters.
Yeah, he looks like a younger me, out there.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean, he is. Dalton Connect is obviously. We saw it in the preseason. He is very, very good and very streaky when he is making shots. Like he makes shots in bunches. So, look, I'm not trying to like fight
Isn't
you
he
on the
exactly
play.
what LeBron and AD have needed this whole time? It's a guy that can just be a knockdown. I mean, dude, they were playing like Matt Ryan for a period of time, just trying to find a 3-point shooter that can just help space the floor a little bit, right? Like, they draft, and then Redick comes in and drops one, right? It's like, no. Like LeBron and AD are just going to drive and we're going to have a guy that is going to shoot 45% from three. And that's his only job on this team is going to be that. So
yeah, he's been good rebounding too. Like surprisingly, like last game, he was really good on the glass. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree. I think he's in play for what it's worth.
Also, a 6-game slate and he's 4,500. So like, we'll see obviously what other value is on this slate, but we I don't mean to keep mentioning McCann, but like we saw the McCann price like go up, and then all of a sudden now he's 6K, and you're like, McCann, yeah. What I say?
Not Brian or James McCann from Catchers.
Did I say McCann or McCann?
McCann.
Oh, whatever, McCann. I think I'm saying the same word, but my accent is making it sound like the other word. I feel like I'm saying McCann.
No. That was McCain. Okay. This is a fan favorite. Okay. In the comments, please leave if you are listening at this point. If you have stayed this long, comment if John is saying or said McCann or McCain. Because the last time you just said it, it was McCain. The first time, 100% former catcher of the Atlanta Braves and New York Yankees, Brian McCann.
Yeah, it's a pan situation is what we have going on here.
Yeah.
UMs. Anyways, long conversation on a $4,500 maybe value play on this slate. Maybe value play. Julian Strawther is $3,600. He's still playing minutes. He's still shooting a lot of threes as well.
Yes, he is. He did really good last game when nobody played him.
Yep. Well, we'll see if there's no Joker. Strawther in play here. So, all right, let's go small forward. JT is. Yeah.
No, they're all small forward eligible. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Tatum and LeBron, pick one.
Both. So I think I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think the Lakers have been amazing at home this year. They've won like all their games at home. This is obviously an elite spot. Utah's like 29th in defense. It's a 10.5 point spread. I expect Cleveland and Boston to be a very competitive, very, very, very competitive game. Now it is the in-season tournament. The Lakers are reigning, defending in-season tournament champs. They could just play their guys boatloads of minutes and that's that. But I don't know, man. I'll say I don't want to pick. I don't know what I'm going to say. I think they're both super elite, and if you land on either, you'll be happy with your decision. I think LeBron has the easier matchup. I think Tatum is live for more minutes potentially because if this game blows out, we may never see LeBron after the third quarter again.
Fair. I would probably tend to lean with you as well on that. I do really like Jaylen Brown in this game. I know I talked about him at shooting guard, but like I just feel like this is everybody looks at Tatum in these big games, and then it's Jaylen Brown. You look down and has 50. And again, even recently, 46, 49, 46, and he's coming in at 8K. that's 40 fantasy points is 5x, and he's giving you a 6, plus there. So, yeah, I think JB is probably in a really good spot. I mentioned Bane already. MPJ, has had some good games here. Last game was not one of them. It has had a lot of good games. If Joker's back, I think we'd be willing to play him probably anyways, but the price is obviously higher than he was when Jokic was playing previously. So there's that whole thing to deal with there.
Yeah, the Jalen thing is interesting. He was going to take that last shot in overtime. He got tackled.
Yeah, he got tackled.
He got tackled. So then Tatum was like, I guess I got to take this shot. And then traveled on it and then made it.
No, there's no traveling in the NBA.
Yeah.
LeBron travels every time he goes to the lane. They don't call it. So.
Yes. Yeah. I'm good. Love Jalen at 81. Michael Porter, fine, right? It's fine. He was great the first game without Joker. Second game, Denver in general was terrible outside of Saric. And then this Lauri Markkanen thing has been weird because I don't know what's happening with the volume that Lauri Markkanen's getting. They paid him $200+ million to take 8, and 12 shots. And I'm just not sure that I know the first game he got hurt and stuff. Like, why are we? He is like,
he had 10 free throw attempts in one of those games, so like that doesn't count as a field goal attempt. So like he was at least shooting 5 more times there. But,
yeah, but like,
still, it's only 13 shot attempts.
I don't know, man.
Well, you know what's happening, obviously. John Collins is on the floor.
I know. But John Collins was there last year.
Well, this year John Collins has a higher usage rate than he had last year. The guy is being an absolute monster.
John Collins has been an absolute monster.
He wants to be traded again.
He does.
And he's just doing everything humanly possible to get out of Utah and on a contending team.
I will say, in a tournament, in a multi-entry scenario, $7,000 for Lauri Markkanen is a really good price.
Yeah. I mean, the Lakers matchup obviously isn't the easiest.
No, yes. They are bad defensively. They're 25th defensive rating.
But like his individual matchup, do you think is fine? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. I always worry about Anthony Davis being out there, man.
But he's a great help defender. But like, there's nothing else that you worry about. Like, LeBron is 40 years old and conserving himself a lot for people's parlays and for.
I mean, I see the green, but my brain just says Anthony Davis is like a defensive player of the year candidate all the time.
He is, but like, he is one of 5 players on a floor. Like, he's not closing out to Lauri Markkanen if Lauri Markkanen's standing in the corner.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, work our way down. Murphy's back. He's 56.
He is. He is back.
Yeah,
and he's a bucket. He's an absolute bucket.
We knew the bucketness was a thing for him. Not even really shooting well, honestly.
No.
2 for 8, 2 for 8, 2 for 6.
I like this one. I like this. I like the price, and I like the minutes, and I like Trey Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, they're not saying it, but there could be no minutes limit here. You could go play 35 in this game.
Yeah, 5,600. If we found out there were no limit, like if they outwardly said it, all systems go for Trey Murphy.
I played Keldon the other day. I thought we were going to get more out of him. We didn't.
Yeah, they got housed.
Like, he was fine. Carried by the 4 steals. Didn't really play well. I don't really see it going any better for him in this game, but he's always capable of kind of popping off there. Clay didn't hit a shot. 1 for 11, 1 for 8. Yeah. Gonna have those nights.
Yeah. You know who is hitting shots? Lou Dort. Lou Dort continues to just simply make shots.
Yep.
I would definitely play Lou Dort, by the way, shooting guard small forward.
4,800. Where else are we going? Dalton Connect is obviously down here. We talked about that already. Champagny, if there's no Wemby. Aaron Wiggins is down here. Who is your Vince Williams, 39? Was that your a guy you were possibly interested in? I know the 14 minutes weren't great, but he played 24 the first game. So
yeah, it's confusing. That's the confusing stuff to me. Like, and that's the problem with Memphis in general this year. Who knows who's going to play when and how many minutes they're going to play, and so if you can see a crystal ball and you can see Vince Williams played mid-20s minutes, then I think there's a case. Quentin Grimes started he didn't play well, but it is just worth mentioning he started for Luka. And last week when he started for Kyrie, he did play well. So,
Yeah.
and he played 36 minutes. So it just makes you wonder if he comes out and shoots well, does he stay on the floor and we see less of Dinwiddie or we see less of, the other ancillary pieces and Grimes plays more. So
Sure.
just a thought I had. And then one final, Josh Green, ladies and gentlemen, has just randomly started to make a bunch of shots. And I had thought, like, when they originally traded for him, they had said he was going to be their starting small forward coming into the year. And
Yeah.
he obviously, it had been kind of slow to get here, but 29 minutes in 3 straight games, he's making his shots. And obviously the volume is the concern here. But 3,500 for a guy that's going to start and play around 30 minutes. I don't hate that.
Yeah. It's just a super low floor, right? Because he played 29
Correct.
minutes, took one shot in that other game. So,
Correct.
for sure, he spaces. He can hit some shots. I'd be cautious, I think, with that play. I flashed Zaire Williams up here because obviously Claxton's out. He's probable to play in this one. The minutes have been fine, right? Like, we know he's had some up and down production, but it's a matchup against Charlotte. It's only 39. Like, would you have more interest maybe in Zaire if he was good to go in this one?
Yeah. I mean, he's been really productive. Um, Obviously those starts he was great. And then the first Knicks game, he came off the bench and played 28 minutes. Second game, he played off the bench and played 24 minutes. So sure. They say he's probable, so it looks like
Yeah.
he's gonna play. Dude, I'm seeing a lot of there is a lot of Cleveland orange here or red. Dean Wade out, Okoro questionable, Merrill questionable,
Yeah.
Levert questionable. If all those guys are out, Georges Niang is going to play a bunch of minutes. He played 26 minutes the other day. Your boy Niang, this is like perfect heel Georges Niang spot. No, like
His
Georges
autograph card is on
Niang
my
is
desk somewhere. I can't find it, but I have it.
he's
It's here
a
somewhere.
heel. This is the perfect like get under Boston's skin, put him on
Yeah.
Jason Tatum for like a couple possessions and get him under his skin type situation. But they might just be forced into more Georges Niang. This also could, if all those guys are ruled out, Ty Jerome season is fully on.
Yeah.
But I would be interested in Niang, just circling back to 4,400, if like Okoro and Sam Merrill sat, because we already know
Sure.
Dean Wade's out as well.
You don't need to sell me on Georges Niang. If you watched Cyril last year, I was a big fan of his. All right, power forward. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the first one we haven't talked about. He's $7,900. Evan Mobley, $79. John Collins, power forward center, is $6,900. We got Bridges at 63 at power forward here. Aldama's there at 64. What do we think at power forward?
I love the Jaren Jackson Jr. usage rates lately. He has looked so good without John Morant. There is a lot of usage for him. There is just everything flowing through him, and even with Desmond Bain back the last couple of games, that really hasn't changed. So, I love Jaren Jackson sub 8K in tournaments for sure. Obviously, Evan Mobley is super appealing because we haven't only had one block in the last 3 games. He is very live for a 3-block, 2-steal game, and just to nuke a slate, right? 50 fantasy points later, and you're like, oh, right, Evan Mobley's here. So I love both those guys. It's hard not to just keep running John Collins out there. I know he was really disappointing against the Clippers. Largely everybody was for Utah, outside of the same Jordan
Yeah,
Clarkson
you
minutes.
like the minutes you got there from John Collins.
But the minutes continuously are great for John Collins. And the 6 shot attempts. Every game before that, where did the 6 shot attempts come from? That's not what he's been doing this whole time. So he's a double-double threat. He's a 20-point double-double threat. So love Collins, 6,900. Aldama, I'm out. They brought him off the bench the last couple games, Sean, and now he was a victim of the Desmond Bain because they kept Wells in the starting lineup. So I'm just thinking that this is the new, like, get used to it, buddy. But, maybe we do see some extra run. I think Edie is on the injury report. He's already out. So we don't have Zach Edie
Right.
on Tuesday. So maybe we do
It's a
see some,
huff. Yeah.
yeah, maybe we do see some extra Santee, but at 6,400, I don't think I can stomach that.
Okay. Again, Bridges is there at $6,300. Played 27 minutes in each of the last 2 games. So he's been back.
Nuked.
Uh,
What?
yeah,
I
49
didn't
and
even
35.
notice.
Yeah, he's been. I mean, I thought this is more of the Bridges we were going to get this year because that's the Bridges we got at the end of last year. But really, outside of like a couple of games, he hasn't been all that good. Against Milwaukee and Cleveland, he goes off and has almost identical stat lines, really. From a shooting perspective, obviously the 8 assists not there, but I'm fine playing him at 63. I think this is there's an upside with this price point here.
Yeah, I mean, especially, he missed a week and then only played 27 minutes, or missed 10 days and only played 27 minutes. It's only going to go up from there. So, yeah, 6,300 is too cheap for, if that's any version of the player we're going to get.
Yep, agreed. We got PJ Washington back. He played 28 minutes right away. 55.
It was crazy. Yeah, he was crazy.
Fantasy points. 27 and 17. What? I mean, like, he won't do that again. I don't think.
I mean, if there's no Luka,
but their lineup like makes a little sense if he plays like the 5, right? Like, the Pelicans don't have a real center. They could go and not play Lively and Gafford and play PJ Washington as like the stretch 5 here.
Yeah, so they gave Lively and Gafford 42 minutes last game.
Mm-hmm.
So there were 6 minutes to be had for small ball center. And that was on the second leg of a back-to-back. PJ played 28 minutes after playing 19 the night before. I mean, if there's no Luka, we know that there are PJ games. Firsthand. Like,
I played him in a lineup when there was no Luka because like, maybe there's 50, there's some room for that.
There was.
I mean, the rest of my lineup wasn't great, but he was great. So like
at 1%
yeah,
game,
I would have no problem playing. We've seen these games out of him. Plus, like, dude, the rebounding's kind of real, right? 11, 8, 9, 11, then a 17. Yep. I mean, 17's out of his mind, but like, we were getting some good rebounding games. We know he can block shots and like defensive stats. If he knocks down his shots, like, and again, I get it. Like, Luka wasn't in this game, but Washington's a fit for this team here, so I like it.
Yeah, me too. I think if we heard the Luka news early, I think PJ Washington would end up one of the highest owned plays this slate. I don't think that's like necessarily a bold take either. I just think flatly 5,500.
They're still playing Filipowski here,
starting, and Walker Kessler already rolled out.
Yeah, so like, I don't think this is like a terrible value play, like safe floor type spot. Grant Williams still playing a whole lot of minutes, still being really good. 4,800.
He is. Both of those things are
true. He found his spot, right? Like,
small ball center in Charlotte, and they've been better.
Dude, he wasn't that bad as he was in Dallas. So
no, he was not.
But he tried to punk out Luka at practice, and everybody was like, "What are we doing? You're not Draymond Green." So like, go away. Right. What else we got down here? Anybody?
All right, I got one.
Okay,
and I think it correlates to Pritchard, but it's Sam Hauser.
Okay,
because if Pritchard can't play,
yep,
there's not a lot of people in the Missoula trust tree, right? Like, he has a very small trust tree. It's the starting 5. It's Pritchard. It's Hauser. And if like Pritchard's playing poorly, Hauser enters the tree. And if Pritchard's playing well, Hauser's like kind of in the tree, but he's kind of like 1 foot in the tree, 1 foot out the tree, right? He's hanging out of the hole in the tree.
Because they have very similar-ish skill sets in terms of like, they shoot threes. Hauser obviously gives him a little bit more length, and he's actually a little bit of an underrated defensive player.
He is. He
There's a very awesome ongoing joke that if you watch the Celtics broadcast, you get it. But they talk a lot about how teams always try to target Hauser, and Scalabrini's like, I wonder why that is. It's like because he's the white dude on the floor, but he's good defensively, and they're always surprised at him actually coming up and making stops. But they're always trying to like isolate to get guys on Sam Hauser, and he's like holds his own. So Scal always likes to point that out. Yeah, I'm with you there. It's a good call on Hauser, and Pritchard's played those same amount of minutes as Hauser did those last couple of games. Now, one of them obviously didn't have Drew Holiday, and the other one was kind of a blow. But I definitely think that they want Hauser in sort of a rhythm of rotation here. So, that's a good shot. What do we have for Clowney in that game? Clowney still like 17 minutes.
And Trendon Watford's back. So,
yeah.
It's kind of tough. I think you can give maybe a nod to Kenrich Williams, who played 18 minutes last game, just again as like small ball center. Like as they continuously ramp him up, like you could see a scenario where he's playing into the 20s.
So we got Mamu, and they played him with Collins in this game.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because obviously Wemby's out, or all but out. I guess doubtful doesn't mean out anymore because we saw Embiid play. But Collins should be super chalk, will likely be super chalk because he's just flatly really good fantasy point per minute player. And he's still only 5,500, but they are obviously without Wemby, they were playing Bassie as the backup big, but they were playing Mamu as well. So
yeah, and like I said, I was surprised that at one point they had Mamu and Collins on the floor together. So it's like they're not shying away from him playing one of those guys playing the four. And we know that Mamu can put up these like kind of crazy point per minute numbers. So when Wemby gets ruled out, also if you think this blows out, like Mamu might get the blowout run,
right?
So all kind of interesting there. Center again, the Joker would be the play, assuming he plays. We don't know. But this guy was ridiculous, and now he's going to have dad strength along with it. So, 12K is probably too cheap for that. AD versus John Collins feels like a really big win for Anthony Davis there on the offensive side of
and Filipowski. I mean, whoever, take your pick, right? Pick your poison.
Yeah, I will say this. I actually I was looking at rebound chance stats today. And Davis doesn't actually have great. It's either conversion or I gotta go back. I wish I could remember exactly, but I remember seeing the number and be like, oh, AD is kind of not really out there in terms of great rebound percentages for what his opportunities are, or something was off on the AD rebound percentage chances. Yeah,
so
you can
look. He is fourth in potential rebounds per game.
Yeah.
20 and a half. He only averages 11.2. He's about 54% conversion.
Maybe that's what it was. What's the contested rebound rate?
Contested rebounds 54 as well. It's 54 and a half, both of those.
Yeah, so there was a number I saw that and I thought 80 was kind of lower comparatively to the rest of the when you ranked the top 10, there was a number where he is way off on the rest, and it might have just been the actual rebounds per game number.
I mean, he's comparable to Jokic, Sabonis. Zubats has less, and Pirtle has less average or rebound chances, but they average more rebounds than AD.
Yeah,
same with Şengün, same with Towns. They all average more rebounds but less opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's what was standing out to me was that he has the opportunities, but not really converting on the opportunities like the other guys are. So. Anyway, it's not really going to matter. Utah here is going to take a lot of shots and miss a lot of shots to be opportunities for AD. Jalen Williams certainly becomes a bit more interesting if he's not dealing with Wemby.
Yes.
That would have
mattered though. It hasn't mattered though, right?
No, probably not. But I mean, I don't know, dude. Wembanyama at his height and length. I mean, Jalen Williams has crazy length for proportionally to his body. Right. Wemby's even bigger to his body. So,
it's a fair point.
Yeah, so like Zach Collins isn't going to be able to chase around Jalen Williams there. So like Williams has been really good as it is. So definitely a good spot. Again, you get the Cleveland guys. Boston's going to play their lineup with Horford and Kata and Tatum, so they'll deal with that. Collins, we talked about John Collins already. Zach Collins is 55. He's getting really good in his 26 minutes.
Yes,
going to be super popular, as you mentioned. Misi's still playing a lot of minutes. He's been fine. Nothing out of this world, but pretty good numbers for him.
Very, very good rebounder.
Yeah.
And if the scoring comes with it, then he has a ceiling. He's just very active on the glass, but there's just not a lot of shots. He's like clearly a pivot off Zach Collins, but you're just finding $500 to get to Zach Collins in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah.
No Jokic, we're going right back to Sarge. Well, right back if there's no Jokic. Sarge has been really good because he is really good on a on a fantasy scale. He is a good producer. So Sarge, if there's no Jokic, Simmons still they just don't want to play Ben Simmons any more than 22 minutes, 25 minutes. Unless he's getting extended, you just can't go there.
Yeah. I was going to say, it would be a good spot for him, obviously, against Charlotte, but they're just not giving him what we need here. There's Gavin.
33. He played 33 minutes in that last game.
I know.
Nemus. I mean, that's big time, dude. That's so much.
I don't know. I mean, with everybody healthy, they won't go double bigs in terms of the starting lineup. So, Horford will start. But Cato was obviously pretty good. He'll be the backup there. You mentioned obviously Dallas's guys here are lively. Always live for just big defensive numbers. And we know the New Orleans doesn't really have they have Misi, but that's about it. Gafford, like you mentioned, he played 18 minutes, so you're getting definitely more minutes from Lively. But Gafford went for 40 in his 18 minutes against San Antonio, so a crazy fantasy point per minute ceiling for him there. Diabate has been somebody that we've kind of highlighted a little bit. I mean, just insane rebounding numbers. He only played 12 minutes against Cleveland. I don't know what to look into that because these are huge numbers on the glass.
I don't really understand why he played 12 minutes. What was the purpose of only giving him 12 minutes after
they gave him all to Grant Williams.
If you think that there's a chance he gets extended, obviously he's appealing. And then, whatever, Zach Edey's been playing mid-20s basically every night.
Yeah, where's
Huff? Well, I was going to also, Huff is for sure in play because he's really good per minute. I was also going to say Brandon Clark. I know we went down this road before.
Where is he?
But he's 3,800 center only. He started and played 22 minutes last game. So, I think if there's no Edey, there's obviously low 20s minutes to be had. And they could divvy it up a lot of different directions because they also could always just do the default factory setting and just put Jaren there at center, right? But, if Brandon Clark's going to play 20 or have 20 plus minute upside, that's what we wanted. Remember that random chalk Brandon Clark game earlier in the year?
Yeah.
If he's going to play 20 plus minutes, he's a really good fantasy player. So if he were to start, I think I'd have some mild interest here.
Okay. Yeah, because they don't really want to play Triple J at the 5. So anything else? Has Koloko been doing anything? No, not really.
Just playing a couple minutes here and there.
All right, let's get a lineup build then. What are we gonna do?
Let's get a lineup build. I don't really remember the slate, so I don't know.
Value tier. I mean, we mentioned obviously a lot of guys being out.
And we spent 27 minutes on Dalton Connect.
We did talk about the Connect. I feel like just to do service, we should play some Dalton Connect here.
Let's just play Dalton.
We didn't really settle on a spend up, right? We liked SGA and we liked LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, all of them.
Ball probably in the
Tatum, LeBron, Yeah, I mean they're all great, dude. Like Davis is in such a good
I like
spot, and
Murphy, Washington, Collins. Let's see. 5,900. Where's Clarkson? Clarkson was 52.
yeah, Clarkson's 52.
All right, so we got 6250 Ford and Util. So we can get another value play in here somewhere. You mentioned, I mean, you say Green. I mean, Zaire is for 39. If we did Zaire, like this is an 86. Jalen Williams, Jalen Brown.
I would like both. I mean, both Kalens are great. Do we play? Oh, you didn't play Zach
I
Collins.
do not play Zach Collins. Rather Zach Collins over John Collins. Or
You could play John. Is John Collins forward eligible? So you could do a move Zaire, or I feel like Collins squared is a
okay. I just swapped out Zach Collins for PJ Washington. That's all I did. So
okay, and then honestly, if you played PJ over Zaire, we could still get like a
yeah,
7K
play
or
is Laurie, someone you liked. We can go Bridges to stack up on. Do we like Charlotte Brooklyn that much though? Feels like a
Derek White.
yeah. We should get a Boston play in there. That's good. Ball, Connect, Murphy, Collins, Clarkson, Washington, and Derek White. Our spend up here, LaMelo Ball, $9,800 and $100 left over. We'll have the playbook guide. I'm on it. So we'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern time. I'll have the playbook for everybody and we'll go over this slate again for all of you. Hit a like, subscribe, and comment. We'll be back in a little bit. Talk to you then.